Female Redditors, what is a physically uncomfortable or unusual feeling sensation that only women understand? This could apply to men with long hair, but I hate when you have your hair up all day and your scalp hurts. Then you finally take it down and there is a dull ache in the roots of your hair. When you're taking a crap while on your period and you can feel not only the poop come out, but the blood clots squeeze out and drop in the toilet bowl. Getting up in the morning when you're on period. Trying to hop to the bathroom as fast as possible while the floodgates open. Feeling that uncomfortable wetness and hoping that your underwear caught enough of it that you don't have to change the sheets. When the underwire starts coming out of your bra and it's poking you in the armpit painfully but you can't get somewhere private to try and poke it back in. When you don't realize it but the tampon didn't go in far enough, but you brave it for the next 45 minutes sitting very uncomfortably until it doesn't look strange that you are going back to the toilet to put a new one in. Oh man, this is the worst. And if you have to give up and pull it out but it's dry because it wasn't seated properly to begin with, the worst. When you're wearing a pad and somehow it twists to the sticky side against your vag, then you pull down your underwear and give yourself a mini vag wax. Just love that one. On the same note, when wearing a pad and you stand up after sitting for a bit, that feeling of period blood slithering out of its resting hole. Blue. Sometimes you can have a type of period pain that isn't painful as much as it's a dull and kind of heavy feeling in the general area of your ovaries. Crap's weird. Bonus points if it makes you feel like you want to take a crap, despite how empty your bowels are. Period cramping, clotting, etc. seems to be covered. So what about when you've been wearing heels all day and you finally take your shoes off to walk flat-footed and it feels like your feet are deformed? You would think it would be refreshing, but nope. Just really uncomfortable for a couple of minutes. ETA. I'm guessing some men would be familiar with this so I didn't answer the prompt well. It's like wearing shoes again after wearing skates. Your brain can't understand why you're shorter and lighter. Period poops. Sometimes I'm constipated. Sometimes I crap the entire length of my colon. Sometimes my butthole vomits. It's a wild card for the first 3 days. Every single time. Laughing or sneezing on your period and having a sudden gush of uterine waste products come from your nether regions. Also, that panicky feeling when you can tell your pad has reached maximum absorption but you're not in a position to go and change it. This especially sucks if you're in school and finals week ends up being the same week you have your period. My first period at school was during the NJASC, a standardized state test in NJ, and my teacher was like, you can't use the restroom, and I ended up bleeding through my sweats before she let me go to the nurse. I was in 7th grade. Talk about panic. Anyway, frick me's, LC and frick periods. Not knowing whether you're a little bit wet, or you've just come on your period, and having no way to check in that moment. Yet that feeling of walking around hoping that the wetness you feel can't be seen by anyone around you. Jumping up and down when you're not wearing a sports bra. It hurts in a very particular sort of aching, stinging, tugging way that isn't comparable to anything else I've felt. My husband laughs every time I have to run jog without a sports bra because one arm must go to the girls for support. Being pregnant now, one arm goes to the girls, one goes to the belly. If my toddler would stop running towards danger, I'd be fine. Period cramps so bad you begin to sweat, feel your face hot, lose all your strength and begin to pass out while sitting on the toilet. And the doctor tells you it's fine because all women get cramps and stop exaggerating. The little gap between the buttons on a shirt because your boobs are too big. If you go up a size, the rest of the shirt doesn't fit. Also when a shirt just isn't shaped right for boobs. When you have discharge on your panties and you pee and clean it off, something then pull them back on and you feel like that wet spot. It reminds me of stepping in water with socks on. Stop upvoting me for this. This is my highest rated comment and it's about discharge. I hate that cold, wet feeling. Period cramps. There's nothing like waking up in the middle of the night feeling like your uterus is going to explode. The 20 minutes of waiting for the Advil to kick in is the longest and worst 20 minutes of your life. Be warned. Especially if you're at work, school, or out in public. You're in agony but have to go about your day like nothing is wrong. The rare phantom ache in your boobs. Is it PMS? Am I pregnant? Do I have breast cancer? Am I evolving? So many questions. Years and years ago, I had a pain in one of my boobs. It was sharpish, but would come and go. Took off my bra that night and found a post earring that had been digging into it all day. That wet feeling down there when you first wake up and instantly know you've gotten your period. RIP so many bedsheets because mine are irregular. We got a Terraclith feel mattress cover to go over our foam mattress and were introduced to vinegar and hydrogen peroxide as blood removers. Game changer. That pre-period feeling that you have to poop but when you sit down there's nothing to poop but your butt just feels weird and tingly on the inside. When your high heels are rubbing and making your feet ache so you take them off to get some relief, but when you put them back on it hurts so much more than before and your feet feel so raw. I wore the high heels, you saw me look cute, they ain't going back on. Always keep comfy flats in your car, always. Discreetly touching the crotch of your pants to see if that feeling you just had was you bleeding through your pants and having your fingers come back bloody. Discreetly checking to see if you bled on the chair you were sitting on. Wanting to rub your eyes because they are sore or itchy but you have makeup on and all you can do is lightly touch the inside corner of your eye and hope it passes. Or pull at the outside corner of your eye and roll your eye using the tension of the lid to try to simulate scratching. Since period stuff and queefing all seem to be covered, I offer up yeast infections. That burning and itching all up and there demands all of your attention and you can't focus on anything else. And you're just waiting for the medicine to clear it up, and the wipes only offer temporary relief. Not to mention the gross discharge you get that's thicker and creamier than normal. So you have to use liners or deal with having your underwear glued to your crotch. And if you're going without a liner, or without underwear because letting it breathe helps clear it up faster, dealing with it soaking into your clothes. Currently on antibiotics, and every time my vagina itches I'm like this is it. It's a yeast infection even though it's probably not. I'm eating so much probiotics it's not even funny. When your nipples are so unerect that they sort of blend into your boob and then you have a slight fear that makes no sense when you can't find the outline of your nipples and you just sit trying to find them. When mine are like that I sometimes poke them inside out. Then the manipulation starts to make them erect and I watch them slowly pop out. Bimanual massage, I think it was called. I wouldn't stop bleeding after delivering my son. So in an attempt to get my uterus to clamp down, my doctor stuck one hand up my vagina and the other hand on top of my belly and pushed hard. I think I levitated. Profoundly uncomfortable is probably a slight understatement. I am sure a medical professional could explain this better. I was too busy screaming mother. That hurts to get a real grasp on what was going on. I never want to experience this, thanks. Being aroused and needing to pee are similar sensations. Sometimes I think I'm turned on, go for a pee, suddenly not frisky anymore, or I think I need to pee, get to the toilet, can't pee, oh, I'm just turned on. Since women tend to have longer hair, the weird places that loose hair collects when you shower, I try to gather and discard as much of it as I can when rinsing my hair out, but there's always quite a bit that runs down my back and collects in my butt crack. Always gotta dig it out at the end of the shower. The dull burning achy sensation during your period where it feels like your nerves are hyper aware and you can just feel the blood draining. Yep, there were some days when I just wanted to sit on the toilet and bleed. I know it sounds so gross, but that's how bad it was. When you have a UTI or a yeast infection and that feeling of having to pee but at the same time you're so uncomfortable you shouldn't be out of bed. Or when you give birth and basically anything you have to do with your vagina the few weeks after. When you have unprotected sex and the leftover jizz dribbles out is one of my least favorite things about having a vagina. Although I suppose it happens after unprotected anal sex, but IDK if the dribbling sensation is the same. You don't get the dribble from anal, but you do have to watch out for CM farts, it's like sharting. The strain of your boobs and bra on your neck and shoulder muscles. A lot heavy-breasted women literally have grooves in their shoulder muscles from the weight of their breasts pulling against the straps of their bra. It's why taking off your bra is literally the best part of the day and a sign that it's going to a minor miracle to get me back out of the house. Best analogy I've ever heard. from the book I got before my breast reduction was, imagine hanging a 5-pound flour sack on a rope around your neck. Now don't take it off for a couple decades. 100% true. Starting your period during an exam. As if the exam isn't stressful enough on its own, you have to worry whether you're destroying your underwear and leaking blood through your pants. One semester my period started during 3 exams, one of them being a final exam. The final was the closest call to a catastrophic breach. I think I threw that underwear away. For some women, like me, if you masturbate in the week before your period, it feels good until you stop, and then nothing but stomach pain for a few minutes. I thought I was the only one, but it happens if I do it during my period. Discharge. Am I wet? Did I just start my period? Did I maybe pee a little? I thought as I got older I'd be able to tell the difference, but here I am, 24, and still have no idea what liquid my vagina is shooting out unless I go check. It's not uncomfortable, but when your clitoris just throbs at random, it's just a super fast pulsing and then it goes away. I have no idea why it happens. Probably picking up some local military radio traffic. Happens all the time. For those who don't know, IUDs, birth control, come with a string that hangs out of your cervix. I humbly offer shoving your finger in your nether bits after a bout of rough sex to check that the IUD hasn't shifted or fallen out. Planning to get one of these soon. I'm sorry, what now? When your period makes you feel like you're birthing a jellyfish. You can be standing in line at the grocery store and suddenly feel some fat, warm slug-like thing leave your body into your pants. Working in any sort of customer service role, retail restaurant, and having an old man continuously touch you. That gross feeling that you are incredibly uncomfortable with the touching, but society, or your company, has told us that we always have to be polite to the customer and not being able to do much about it. I hope this changes. I've recently decided I don't care if I get fired for it. I'm not putting up with it anymore. Feeling physical pain reading through this thread and remembering how painful or uncomfortable literally everything posted here is. When you feel someone staring at you but you know not to look because then the guy will know that you know, and then he'll talk to you. When I touch my nipples in a non-sexual setting, sometimes it makes me feel lonely, empty and uncomfortable in a weird way. I found out when someone posted about this, and when I googled I saw more women explaining this weird sensation too. But I'm not sure if this happens to men too. All of us women just rubbed our nipples. The ninja barrel roll you gotta do when you wake up in the middle of the night and feel the blood being held back by your labia. I'm really lucky that my labia is kinda like one of those rubber coin holder keychains from the 90s. Anyways, if you don't maneuver right it'll sploosh out all over your pad and or bed. The first 2-3 years of your period, when you still sleep really heavily at night and regularly wake up in a pool of your own blood. Then it flips to where you sleep so lightly that when you feel the clot sliding down you do the barrel roll to get to the toilet before it all comes loose. Vulva pimples. Yep, it's as filthy, gross and painful as you imagine. They're not close enough to the surface of the labia skin, so you can't get rid of them unless you use a needle to puncture them, and that hurts and it's useless. So you spend the next week with a hard, reddish bubble trapped in the flaps of your labia, and if you aren't careful when sitting, you'll sit onto the pimple and enjoy the sudden burst of pain. Period isn't funny, but ovulation comes with a whole another roulette of side effects. Yeah, I thought I was the only gross one. Yeah, I'm not alone. Having a nasty UT feels like you're bursting for the toilet all the time, but when you go, no urine comes out. It's really painful and frustrating at times as you get no relief and you have to try to ignore the throbbing pain in your bladder. Well, this is more personal, but I'm allergic to cats. I do the allergy therapy thing, and my cat was sleeping in my lap. I scratched his ears, but then my left labia started to itch, so I scratched it with the same hand, and again, and again, and then like 30 more times. It was really itchy. When I stood up an hour later, my crotch was on fire and it felt like I had a ball in my pants next to my labia. I look in the bathroom, and my normally small labium had swollen like 50 times bigger and was covering up most of the vulva. My crotch area looked like one big red itchy swollen tough meat flap. I couldn't walk normally BC, it felt like something shoved down my pants and it hurt. I smeared half a tube of hydrocortisone on it and waited half naked on the bathroom counter until it went down again like 3 hours later. Never again. Never. When you're in a labia, some gets folded or snags on your outer labia and you have to do the splits basically to have it go back to the correct location. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.